Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for your time. I want to go ahead and give you an update for the things that have happened in July and the first half of this month. In terms of building and developing software, obviously it's continued to be our primary R&D focus. We have continued to find and eliminate and cure bugs, as well as we've added new features. And we have completed 50 new designs based upon feedback that we've had from our pilot users, as well as our initial users in our live environment. We've made one code push, which means that we've pushed the code up into the live environment and web environment. And then we've made 2 mobile releases. If you'll bring your attention to the green guy, that's Android. And so now we are available on Android. We released on Google Play on Sunday night at about 2:30 in the morning, because it's technically Monday. So we have pushed that out. So now we are available on the iPhone as well as Android, as well as all major browsers in the web environment. This is important strategically because all of our users migrate from one device to the other, and we try to grab market share in terms of what you can provide in terms of access from the technology platform. The investments that we made in Android were important because they are outselling the iPhone about 5 to 1, and they make up over half the market of the smartphone, as well as about 65% of the traffic continues to be and grow from a smartphone only in terms of access. So we'll continue to build out and refine and design and add features to our mobile, including iPad coming up, and tablet responsive, which is in technology allows browsers. In terms of what we're doing, jobs, we have been actively promoting and growing the CareSync representative component of our HR department here in Wauchula. We currently have 4 positions open, and we have taken resumes specific to those and have done a lot of interviews. 4 more will happen today. These positions are immediate for hire. We have 7 open positions that we are trying to fill that are specifically for here in Hardin. And including what we have done is now, and it's part of our plan, is that one of those positions is for senior management. So this person would be our Vice President of Enterprise Sales. We put that position out there in the Heartland. We put it in other sources and attempting to try to find somebody. That would be a senior experienced person here in the Tech River building. We represent enterprise sales, which is going to represent a significant number of the revenues that we project. And that also this person would have the leadership and experience to report to me directly and be part of the executive team. So currently the executive team is what does make the strategic decisions for the company. We have lost 2 people. For personal reasons, they have chosen to resign. And we are, the 7 positions, 2 of those are interns, and we begin, in terms of classes, next week. We begin training 6 new developers. So I think that, remember that we're building and selling a software company, but at the same time, we're trying to create talent that we ourselves can use. And so one of the things that we're doing as part of the continuum budget is we bought 6 new laptops. We created the curriculum for beginning software developers, and that class immediately filled to capacity. And so the reason that it was capped at 6 is because that's all we had in our budget to try to squeeze out to buy 6 laptops. And at the same time, we want to just test a small group of people to see how the class behaves. But we think long term, and the speaker before me, is that there are needs for people who have technical skills. And so even the engineers that are creating hardware items like gensets and other things still need software to drive how it interacts with design, whether it's CAD and things. And so development is still, I think, a very important skill set, and it's part of our commitment to the county here in terms that we create some of our new future hires 3 of those 6 positions are actually paid positions within Continuum. So we're using the investment dollars that you put into this project to pay them so that they can attend the classes. Those are primarily kids here that live here that want to be developers. And so remember that we not just give them course materials to learn software development, but then they have the opportunity to then work on live code. So this is very important, and I've said this, and so this is where all of this starts to bear some fruit. This is a presentation that, in part, it has some redacted parts for an intellectual property reason, but this is what we are now using to see investment community individuals with, from New York to South Florida, out to as far as California. I will tell you that this statement, if you allow it to sink in, is a huge attention getter, because patients and their families are the most underutilized asset in healthcare. So if anyone could raise their hand if they think they've been overutilized by the healthcare system, if their input, their facts, and so forth have been a real key component in how they've participated in healthcare, I would be surprised to meet you, because I think that many of us feel that we go from named person to patient when we get a condition, and that condition then puts us in sort of a disadvantaged state because we don't have the data. This has been a very important message that has really resonated with investors, and that they see that when you look at $2.8 trillion spent last year in healthcare in the United States, and that number grows by 9.5% each year and is estimated to do so for the next 5 years, we're talking well over $3 trillion in future spending. That gets to about 19 cents on every dollar that our economy spends. We recognize that there's 4 things that patients and their families don't have, and so as a result, we wonder why we spend about 80% of those healthcare dollars managing about 150 million chronic conditions. And so these chronic conditions create patients who spend out of the system, but don't really have the data to stay on treatment plan, or don't have the tools to get reinforced by family and other friends to modify behavior. Why is this important? It is important because enterprise people are listening. We have not been said no to additional meetings in any of our sales demonstrations. I will tell you that we meet in just 10 days with a Fortune 400 company and one of the largest insurers in the nation. They invited us back because they love our technology, because it affects many things that are very complex, but especially with governments who have Medicare and Medicaid people at the same time. So you're over a certain age in terms of eligibility for Medicare, but you fall below the poverty line, so you also qualify for Medicaid. With 40 million people entering the health system, this is creating vast anxiety as well as opportunity, is that these insurance carriers are racing to sign these people up because these are new dollars from the federal government. The problem is that their reimbursement rate is completely controlled by the STARS rating, which means their customer satisfaction score. If you follow the news, just I think it was a month or 2 months ago, an insurance company in St. Petersburg, 900 people were shut down by the feds based upon the fact that their STARS rating fell below acceptable grade levels, meaning that their customers did not like their insurance company so badly that the government stepped in and shut them down. The reason that I'm telling you this, and now I'm like 8 minutes here, is that we said we would take 2% of your sickest people. The president of the state that we were in, that controls hundreds of thousands of lives, did not blink an eye. When you do the math, that was a $20 million proposal. That means, based upon our current estimates, and this is real, this is not fantasy. If you're looking, and I won't go into confidentially, I don't mind meeting with you, but in terms of a margin spend, if we get a $20 million contract, most of that money will be spent on people transcribing and getting medical records, which is segmented to all happen in this town. Think about that in terms of salary dollars, when I will tell you we'll spend more than half of that money in labor to just forget that one contract. So when I said that we have been spending the last X amount of months making our software smarter with medical databases, ramping up, I said, once we felt that we were stable enough platforms to then use our contacts that we had in the industry to make these demonstrations, to then get invited back. is that we were in a position to sit there and give proposals that would be in the millions to tens of millions of dollars, because healthcare, this one particular company spends over $8 billion a year in medical claims. And so those kind of dollars are a big spend for them, $8 billion, $20 million to help get familiarize some of their sickest patients. If they just kept some of them out of the hospital one time per year, that one member that may change would pay for another 500 members. So the math really has a return on investment to these people. Why we are out raising money and talking about this story with investors is because we want to take additional money and quickly tell our story to the nation. That means having presence throughout the United States and to be able to have an advertising budget that allows us to tell our story. Because if you look, there isn't record aggregation services beyond a few people that do it. And nobody does it on a massive scale that has the software to back it up. There is only one competitor called Zwina in New Jersey that does it, and they use, their software that they use is Microsoft Health Vault. That's not a workflow engine. That's not multi-platform. That's just a giant spreadsheet. And so what we have built, I will tell you, has been resonating with people who are running billion-dollar companies and want to know more. That is a great place to be. We could not fire those bullets, though, until we knew we could back it up from a technology standpoint. So 2 weeks from now, or 10 days from now, we meet with the chief information officer for this $8 billion company and his senior staff to have a deep dive to see if this software will talk to their software. Now, we are the only person on the planet that I know of that can even do that. Even Zwina doesn't have interoperability with other systems. They run an internal system for their case management and how they monitor their sickest people. Our system being able to talk to their system is a complete deal breaker, but it's something completely, if we can't do it, we wouldn't be there. But the fact that we do have the technology to do it. So when we look at the millions of dollars that have been spent on this project, it has been to leverage a platform that doesn't exist, using a labor force that no one thought about as being a critical component to onboard, because nobody wants to go to another piece of software that has no useful data in it. And so I will tell you that once this thing kicks, we have projection sales that are just huge, and it's not many members. When you even get to the 10, 40,000 per quarter users, you are talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars in terms of a runway. I will tell you, most of that money, well over 50% will be spent in this town because we are a labor-heavy organization. It's going to work. And so I can go through many of these slides, but these are the things that we have been vetting out. We recognize that people are connected. We know that there are 70-something million people out there that are caregivers in some way. 2/3 of those do it every day. People need to be familiarized. They need to have the data. These are numbers that make things work. And then I'll just use a couple minutes to just show you the new look that we're coming out with the web. And I appreciate the feedback that we continue to get from our users, but as I said, we're going to a flat design. So this is some of the new GUI and some of the new onboarding that you'll see that when a person logs on, they're sort of walked through, add your family, add a provider, and download the mobile. So now you can have CareSync at the point of care, which is a really big, important component for us in terms of workflow. The aggregation of records, I really strongly believe that is an endless, near endless opportunity for real jobs in healthcare in Hardee. We believe that the application layer that we continue to build out will be more workflow driven, and we believe that this makes users feel empowered. And so when a user feels empowered, they're confident, and when they're confident, they have a completely different experience with the provider. Completely different provider. We continue to get things like, my provider sat up on the exam table with me and looked at my iPhone at the same time, and we went through all the tasks he wants me to do before I leave. It really is very interesting and intriguing to see what's going on behaviorally between patient and physician. It is creating different appointments, and with different appointments, that is a huge competitive advantage in terms of a branding on our side. So things like efficiency, accountability, some of these things that these large institutions like health fairs, employers, and even the government, they have things that they have to do. And one of the things is sit there and communicate. So this dual eligibility program, if you want to look it up, it's a pilot program in 9 states. You'll look at some of the very top criteria and what is it. A patient-centered family medical record is what they have to offer. Google that and see how many names you hit other than ours. There isn't. I mean, there's big hospital systems that might be able to say, well, we can do something. But there isn't something in our layer that can say, yes, we meet that criteria for dual eligibility. Don't you think they put our name on it when they sit there and apply to be part of the pilots? So, again, I want to just point out the fact that we came out with Android, and that is a big deal for us. Lastly, we are selling still into the consumer market. I believe, based upon our projections, that yes, most of our money will come from the enterprise environment. But these two sections integrate. And the integrate is that when you say to an enterprise system, give us 50,000 sick people, and you say part of the reason that we will make them better, and so it will reduce your costs as an insurance company paying out, you have to familitize these patients. Well, how you get to their families is through a consumer channel of marketing and selling. And so we believe that there's still a double-digit percentage that is still going to come from the consumer base, but we have to build both to sit there and have an effective message. We can't just be a pure enterprise play. Bridging the gap between millions of people. These are some really fantastic numbers. So if you're an investor and you're looking at what is the potential return, you really do recognize about half of our population either has a chronic or rare disease. And they have people that then take care of them. It is a big, big market where the spend is with the T instead of the B. And then these are just some of the statistics that we go through to sit there and reaffirm our work. I just want to share this with you, and it's somewhat of our intellectual property, but I want to be transparent when I can. We have changed our pricing model because we have found that in our pilots that some people didn't understand the brand or understand the sale. So we've created a $99 2-month get started package, and then it has either you can pay and get a discount for the rest of the year, or if you feel that you're happy or healthy after you got your past medical histories aggregated, then we have something called buy on the fly. So when you go to an appointment, the appointment is completed, the phone will ask you, do you want us to get these medical records? If you click yes, it's just like buying any other app on the iPhone or Android. It will process its credit card through you, and then there's a revenue split that happens at Google or at Apple, and then they send us the margin on that. So we have a mobile revenue model. We have a revenue model that helps for getting people onboarded effectively. And then we have further discounts. The area along the bottom is where a lot of our secret sauce is coming into. And when we're talking to large investors about why we want to raise additional capital, part of that is for data scientists. There is a lot of money in big data, and it drives a lot of what a piece of software will do, perform, and behave in terms of what it will show you, as well as what can be captured. Let me say this, if we're looking at whether this was a good investment, whether we're creating a stable company, we have a message that no other company can have. And when it comes to big data, we just recently met, just by the way, we just met with a hedge fund that manages over $5 billion. They own huge chunks of LinkedIn and these other companies. They also bought into a large big data company. The hardest data for that company to get is healthcare. There's chips in your car, there's chips in your refrigerator, in your microwave, there's all kinds of web logs that just track where your mouse is. There's huge amounts of data, and so people are writing on what's going on with the behavior of the user. I told you that after that we did the acquisition with Blue Water, that my first strategy was to make the system smart, to give it a controlled language. And then we spent months putting in medical databases in the back end. This gives us the ability to communicate with other systems and to start to make sense of the data that we have. If you look at a timeline between how much data you get as a person on you, it happens with your provider, or it happens in a hospital, or it happens in a diagnostic environment. In between those visits, in terms of medical information on you as a human being, there's nothing kept. Nothing. It's like going dark. It's like missing 2 chapters on a DVD. You don't know what happened. And so we ask ourselves why providers are so frustrated. With Visit Manager and with our software, we now can track what's going on between the visits. That is a huge source of revenue. Those bottom boxes, none of them have been forecasted or projected out. And so this is a good thing because it gives people that look to invest big money into what we're doing huge returns on the back end, because people right now are buying huge swaths of company purely for the data that they have. You think that it was a mistake that Google got into the mobile phone business? It was in part because of the user data. They wanted to know where the users physically were, and they get that from the GPS and so forth on your phone. These are just the two markets. Blending, why this is important as part of our sales strategy. Again, just some things on the competitors. And then finally, we finish up with just the ecosystem, and I've shown you this before, but we bring it all together. So I'm here to just say that we said a few months ago that we were going to focus full-time on sales and marketing. We are doing that. We have continued to keep development at the pace it needs to go at, and we're seeing results from our meetings, and we're planning for the future in terms of how we grow this company. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Travis, if these people are so interested in this, why don't they invest in it?
Well, those are the conversations that we're having.
I know, but you've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 months. I mean, it seems like the investors, if they love this thing so much, they ought to be jumping on board.
Well, they take their time when you're asking for 8 figures, and they also ask for things that we then need to go get the answers or do the performing. One of those things was Android. We spent the last 45 days busting our butts 6 days a week over through the nights, et cetera, to get out Android. So there are things that these companies are looking for to be certain that we can perform in the technology layer. They don't doubt that the market's there, and they don't doubt our technology as a whole. I will tell you that the visits that I've had with a VC in just a couple of Fridays ago was 4 hours long. These people are from Wharton. I mean, they are very seriously asking the questions. They want cash flow projections. They want all kinds of, different data sheets to know that not to sit there and think that it's 100% accurate, but wanting to know that we have the leadership that has thought through the big questions. How much is it going to cost per page? What's the time per page? We needed that data. So I completely agree with you, but you don't go out and you don't go and first create a relationship and raise money with these people in weeks. It takes months. And you don't want to, it's hard to make a second impression. You really have to do it right the first time because these VCs are getting hit with hundreds of opportunities per month. And so we have purposely held off our foot until just the last 2 months, until we knew that we had enough technology baked in, that we had enough data from our users that we could sit there and say, this is what we've experienced. Because they don't mind throwing large money if they know it will work. We've met with a major specialty hospital. Again, you met with their CIO and their senior staff. We're invited back again next week to talk about how we can roll it out to their patients because they have a large information system called Cerner. They want our software to talk to their software because it's all about population health, which is really the other word for familitizing a patient. These are movements that we really are aligned with. And I know that, as with any produce, it takes a while for it to produce fruit. And we knew that this was a multi-year plan years ago. But from my experience, we continue to see the results of fruit and that we were measuring what we thought the market would be doing in 2013 and 2014 back in 2011. And it has kept pace. There was a 6-month stall because of Obamacare and whether the Supreme Court would ratify it. But all those things are converging. Healthcare investment is up 26% the first quarter of this year over the year before in terms of VCs. People are throwing money into it. You just have to be certain they consider it a well-managed risk investment.
There's an awful lot of money being spent on marketing and sales. Is that paying off as far as new accounts for you?
Yes, sir. And I would think as my board, you should criticize the fact that that number goes down. We're not doing it.
That's what I was just going to do. I was going to say, from a standpoint of tech and database and everything, I don't understand it. I have been in sales for 30-something years. And to me, if you have the right salesman, he can sell black paint for a man that owns a White House. And I think we're getting to that point that if it was me, I'd start to question, Travis, my sales ability or the people I've got work to you, that you still need to do it. To me, 10% right now in marketing is way too low when you're at the point that you are today with your product.
And I will say that you almost verbatim were a VC the other day. They say, well, why is R&D so high? I said, well, this and this, and they said, yes, I would expect R&D over the first 5 years to be this, but it comes down. You look at our 2015 as in terms of a percentage of spend, yeah, it comes remarkably down as well as costs go up. I will tell you that we are spending more money than this that I submitted for. It is coming from me. If I had my wish, I'd put a 1 in front of that 32, because it took a while to build the technology. We don't have a technology problem today. We have an information and education problem today. We have done something so different that people don't know we exist. And so my main reason is not, I don't think that we could not try to find a model that would work within our sort of expectations here. It's the fact is that I'm going out and raising VC money to break through the gravity of R&D, to break through into the atmosphere to where we can put it out there. But I completely agree with you. You know, if you go back and historically look, we've not spent a lot of money in sales or marketing, because to me it would have been a waste. We would have preached a message we couldn't have delivered on. And as you know, being in sales, you don't want to give somebody a false message that then the company can't back on, because then you ruin your brand credibility. But I agree with you, Mr. Samuels, that you should continue to look at that number, and you will probably see it go up month to month to month.
Any other questions, the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
This request says you have 9 employees. 9, I guess is that FTEs, is that what that means?
Yes, sir.
Okay, when I go by out there, I rarely see more than 3 vehicles there. Where are these people? Are they Tampa or where
Yes,
are
sir.
they?
No, I mean, that number is hard here, and actually there are more numbers than 9. You have people like, his first letter starts with an N, his first name. He works at nights from home because his wife works days for an insurance company. I don't know about the car thing. There's been a lot of discussion on how you imprint a culture. I went to bed at 3:30 last night. We were submitting to iPhone Store at 2:30 on Monday morning. To the Google Play Store. We have a culture that works long and hard hours, and we're trying to see how we match that up with a sense of branding and ownership and so forth. A lot of discussion and a lot of energy. Most of our senior staff will be here on Thursday. I think that people are working because their managers say they're working. We opened up a position for a VP, which other than a C-level title is as high as you go in our organization, to start to show what some mature leadership looks like in terms of working in tech. And tech is not always 9 to 5. I think we're making steps to get more of a sense of people perhaps parking a car out front where it can be seen instead of the drive-through underneath where it's hidden, which now they're starting to do, so you need to go to their parking 2 or 3 underneath that. But they're all working. I mean, they are, or certainly we wouldn't be paying their salaries. I guess selfishly, I'd like to see the cars there at 7 at night instead of leaving at 5 something. These new CSRs that we're adding in will work non-traditional hours, so they'll be longer. But when I talk about, these numbers, numbers never really lie, right? Always the accountants and auditors come in with the facts, with the calculator. These numbers on your screen are accurate in terms of the counts of people that work there. That's a long way around the barn. I just think I'd like to see big cars there longer and more often and aggregated together. But other than the 2 people that resigned for personal reasons, which had nothing to do, I don't see anybody not 100% committed to their jobs, which I think would be perfectly fine if you stop at Tech River and talk to our people. I think that they want to feel more proud about what they do because they see what they do and they see the opportunity they have to affect the world in terms of healthcare. And when people are sick, you doing a little bit means a lot. But we'll continue to add more numbers, but I promise you that those numbers are accurate. And there's some other people that are allowed to work from home because of non-traditional hours.
Well, I had a man say he went out there, walked in there, he said there was 4 people in the building, that's it. And I go by there just about every day except the weekend, I usually don't come to town. And there's nobody parked under the canopy, there's 3 cars there on a daily basis. Now, if they're working from home, then why do we need that building? I mean, I do question the 9 employees, I'm sorry. If Casey can tell me, guarantee me there's 90 employees
Well, there's
and they're
more.
out there, they're using mass transit or something to get there.
And they may
then
be,
that's fine.
and they may be, I haven't tried to get involved in their transportation habits.
You know, if I
I
want
just
Casey to
promise-
guarantee me that they're,
Oh,
if she'll
I
guarantee
guarantee
me, then I'll hush.
Well,
I mean, I think you're wanting me to guarantee you that
Yes,
I've seen their
yes.
timesheets and things like that, and we've already had that discussion, and that's not something I can guarantee. I mean, I can
Well, you
guarantee.
oversee it, Casey, now you need to tell me.
I mean, I
that
can
this
tell
is
you
correct,
from,
that this is correct.
I can tell you that this is correct. I can tell you that there are 9 employees there. Yes, sir. I
Okay.
mean, but I would make the comparison to there are 6 people in our office, and there might only be 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle of ours in the parking lot because we all
Well, you
have different meetings.
well, you're in the city too.
I'm sorry?
Because, yeah, you know, you can park anywhere in the city, but out there, when there's.
No, what I'm saying is that we do have things that take us out of the office. I'm sure that some of his employees have that.
Okay.
They work
All right.
different hours.
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to give you an explanation. I don't know. But I don't think it's as simple as there are 9 employees, there should be 9 employees' cars there all the time, because I don't think you would find that in any
Well,
office.
there should be more than 3 every day.
And
I'm
to
telling you.
to your comment about somebody went out there and there was only 4 people in the building, there's only 1 company in the building currently. Bill did announce that Rapid Tech has signed their lease, so hopefully they'll be moving in there, it'll create more traffic, and that is our goal for Tech River, to recruit other companies. But currently, there's only 1 company in the building,
I
so we're really
understand
to
that,
recruit
but
them.
we're paying for 9 employees and 3
Okay.
cars on a daily basis. There's not more than 3 vehicles out there.
And what my understanding is just because, I mean, we are paying for 9 employees, but just because they might not be working at that building does not mean that they're not
Well,
working.
that's the matter. Where are they?
I mean, I know that some of them are involved in the Rotary Club, some of them are involved in the Lions Club, some of
They're
them
the
are
road
out in the
club from
community.
8 to 5?
I'm just saying, Mr. Samuels, that there are things that sometimes that take people out of the office, just like I'm sure that, I can attest to that there are things that take me out of my office on a daily basis.
All right.
Okay.
I got a question, please.
yes.
Yeah, I've been having problems with my dog.
Your
And my
dogs.
vet is right down the road, over there, Dr. Lovett. And then, my wife and I, we developed this little database, which I wanted to get to you. And, did you get it from the office?
Yes, sir.
No, because I left it at the office for them to pass it on. So anyway, I went in Friday at 11:15, and the light was green, so I decided to go in, and I walked throughout the whole building. Never touched the doorknob that was red, you know, because I don't want to lose credibility. And then I was yelling, "Hey, anybody there?" And I went through the cafeteria and where the dispenser is for goodies. And then finally I stood in front of the security camera, waved this thing, and you can have it.
Well, okay, the security camera.
There was nobody there.
Are you assigning the intellectual property rights to me to take this, just in case it's something?
Yes, it's yours.
So all derivative
If you-
works
if
of
you
your
like
code,
it,
all derivative works of
you
my
may like
property?
it.
Thank you. Well, I'll make the cheap plug. In fact, there's 76.5 million pets in the United States, and we have the database to record it. So you should use CareSync to manage your pets. But we will take a look at your work. So providing it's virus free, you didn't do any industrial viruses on it, right?
No,
Okay. Mr. Samuels, you mentioned an area of credibility, and that's important, especially when we're
Yes, it
spending
is.
$10,000 a day.
Yes, it is.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
I will swear to you, these people are real. You have my solemn oath that they are real documented employees who get paychecks for the things they do.
That may be true, but where are they?
And you know what? If they're not where they're supposed to be, their managers know where they're supposed to be. And we are building senior staff that will be there as often as they can. Certainly salespeople are not always in the office as they shouldn't be. But, you know, and with 7 new hires, more cars will be there. But I promise you, there is not a penny that I've ever submitted on here that isn't accounted for.
Yeah, well, I want Casey to tell me that there.
I just want to put this out. Give me a specific thing that I can give to Casey so that she can satisfy your.
Y'all worked it out. I have one more question. On page 22 of this, thing, apparently, we're still paying $77,000 a month toward the Life Dash platform or something. I thought we had got away from Life Dash, and CareSync was all you could do at this point.
No, the platform is still, the whole platform in its environment is still a life dash layer of technology. And so all of the images, all of the traffic, all of the APIs that continue to be built are on that. And so what we did is that we created a year-long, basically software agreement between the two companies that it, for a fixed rate, could continue to use everything that it needed to use. And then on Life Dash side, it would scale to whatever the needs were with Continuum. So we fixed those costs on what Continuum or CareSync needs in terms of a platform. But when we talk about all these code submissions and all these things we're doing, it's the CareSync layer. But when you say, okay, add a provider, or, you know, create a user, or run my credit card, or any of that stuff, that's all stored in the Life Dash platform. And so that is the software that they're licensing.
Are you thinking of dashes?
It's, all it says is Life Dash.
Yeah, I think what you might be speaking of is in terms of focus is dashes, because that was one of the other programs that they're working on. And that was when they said they weren't gonna focus on dashes, they were gonna just focus on CareSync, and that was
Well,
gonna be their
where's
sole
this
thing.
Life Dash at that where we're spending this money?
Life Dash is a technological platform that stores all of the information.
Somebody's working on it, I guess, somewhere.
Yes, I mean, it's
Where,
worked
where's
on.
that?
It's worked on by different developers, and it's primarily stored in 2 places, or 3 places, because it has 3 different phases. So anytime new code is written to it or updated the API, which is how it talks to it when CareSync creates a new feature, then it's in our development environment. That development environment, some is here in Wauchula, and some is in Tampa. The data center, the live environment, where users actually pull their data from, is from the data center in Orlando.
What is that $77,000?
I don't know that there's a 77,000, I think it's 10.4.
Well, let's go look at it.
20.
There's not 22 pages in the draw request.
But it's at the bottom of the page.
It says $77,710.41.
Yeah, this is, yeah, all of those employees work on CareSync. So these are basically employees that are either paid or work for Life Dash, and then they get, and then we charge their hours through to continue, because this is staff working on the CareSync platform.
I'm done.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Did I understand you to say that the CARE Sync, the original
Blue Water?
life, the life,
Life
that $11,000, it's, I'm sorry, I should have been ready to ask this question. Yeah, LifeSync, sorry, the $11,666.67, that was a year-long contract
Yes.
with them? Does that mean that it, as of October 1, it's gonna go away, or is it gonna be, what?
They are part of my sales staff. I would like to renew it. That's my intention, is just to renew it. They have been very effective. They have been at many of the meetings that we've done in terms of selling. The reason that it's been important, we have X amount of qualified leads, which is a significant number of the different salespeople that we've hired. Many of them have come from this team, about 20%. And so when we go to these meetings, it adds credibility as to, we had an idea, that idea was acquired, the idea continues to be advanced upon. It adds credibility or length of time to what was the idea and how it is tracked with the changes in healthcare. They really are part of the sales staff at this point. So people from the staff, actually helped with the creation of this presentation. Some of them did. So they're being fully utilized. The reason that it's a good deal is it's 1099. So I save 30% benefits and overhead. And so, it is a good deal, and we are seeing return. I will tell you that the lead that we had with the $9 billion payer came from these people. So, though they may be a political hot potato, it is, at least from my perspective, it's part of the sales force that is mature and that understands the market that we're going after.
Okay. I tend to take a high altitude look at this thing, and if you say it's important, then,
Well,
as far as I'm concerned, it is. I didn't want it to get misconstrued that it was a year-long contract, and at the end of this year, it was done, or, I think just clearing that up was.
Well, I appreciate the questions. I really wish I had a better relationship with you guys, to be frank. I mean, it's so hard navigating 288.075 and the 159 and the 119 and every other statute that's in play. Did you realize that we are on track to spend tens of millions of dollars a year in this town? That's a lot of money. I mean, that is a significant impact. In 2016, we could be a company that has a run rate of over $100 million. And I'm telling you, most of that would be spent in this town. I mean, these are relationships that I'm trying to forge, not for myself. Do you know what it's like? I will tell you, I'm not certain that people don't carpool together for just wanting to feel friendly with each other when there's so many people that harass them about working for Tech Road and Continuum Miles. I mean, what we have is we have a morale issue that we're trying to deal with because it isn't a popular place to work many times. Whether it's cats or this or whatever, whatever. Somebody's beating up on us somewhere. And so I appreciate the questions. I really do. And every dollar that goes over these requests, because we're trying to really basically divide things into 300 lots, we spent more than that. We probably spent $340, $350 last month. I put in the rest. And so I do appreciate the questions. When they're sincere and honest and we can team together, when we can pull our resources and say, these are good hires, or these are good people, these are good folks, I know their family, they'll turn out to be people or assets to your company. Those are the kind of conversations you want to have, because I think to Mr. Samuel's point, though I don't think he knew the question he was asking, is that what's the excitement to work here? And that's why we said we need to start hiring senior leadership positions here that are from this town that can endorse it to the fact they work here. And so it is part of a plan. At the same time, we're building technology. At the same time, we're flying all over the world trying to evangelize what we're doing in a $3 trillion sector of our economy. There's a lot of moving parts. And so I hope, if nothing else, in my 40 minutes here, that you continue month after month to see our sincerity and our commitment. Again, anytime anyone wants to pull me aside, have a one-on-one conversation, and wants to see sensitive information that will be held confidential, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions if it helps to earn your trust, and more importantly, your commitment to those people who want careers here in your town.
Well, I want to say that is my concern, is the people who work out there. I am concerned about those people more than anything. Those Hardy County people I am concerned about, that they quit jobs and went out there to something that just is not going to make it. That concerns me more than anything. And I don't care whose kid works out there. I don't care that Jimmy C's kid works out there. I don't care that Sue Burgess' kid works out there. I don't care that Sarah Pelham's husband worked out there. I'm concerned about those employees. That is my biggest concern, is that those people put their life on hold and go out there on a whim. And that concerns me more than anything.
Then you and I share a common passion, because there is nothing more than I've done in 9 companies in a row than give jobs. If there is a spiritual gift of giving jobs, I've hired people in every conceivable place short of a bathroom stall. And I agree with you, because it is all about, it's about a bigger purpose. We all want to be a part of something that's, you know, we want to be UF versus FSU and so forth. We want to be aligned with brand. But you know what? If you're a Brian Burge and you've had a good day at work, don't you go back and you be a better husband to Crystal? I mean, don't you feel proud about where you eat and what you do? And so, you know, but you know that a person that is often here sent an email to all of our employees last month telling them to find out. How do we find that? Go get new jobs, you're running out of money. I wish my board would have come down on that person, because you are my board. So we had an emergency meeting to reassure them.
Was that person a member of this board?
No, sir. No, it's usually a member of the audience. And so, but the fact of it is, who writes a 2-page letter to tell people to quit their employer? And how do you as an employer combat that? Well, I understand there's tension about making a multi-7-figure investment into healthcare. I get it. Those are meaningful conversations to have. That is about managing risk. But doing things that really attack people, or sending letters to their employers to attack this project, as a CEO, that's a hard thing to manage. At the same time, I'm trying to compete with companies that have potentials to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in this industry if they knew it existed. I told you we already had an offer for an acquisition out of Atlanta. We turned it down. This is not a short-term play. It is not. I want to create jobs here. I want to fulfill sincerely what I said I wanted to do, and that was to create a ton of jobs here, because I think it works. It works, especially, we've come up with a new plan. I'll share it with you just so that you know, and I'll finish. We think that we can hire CSRs part-time, just like you're doing at the school where they have shared teaching, where one teacher teaches it 3 or 4 days or a week and another one comes in and they sort of pair off, is that there is a lot of the labor segment here that are wise and others who said, I would love to work from 8 to 12. I would love to work from 4 to 8. And so we're getting ready to host a meeting for 75 of them to give them what we're doing in our brand. We have open jobs we're trying to fill here. And my hiring bar typically isn't high. And so it's usually attitude and references. And we'll train you. So we share that same passion. And I think that, you know, I know probably by the beginning of next year, we're going to start to have breakthrough. And those who are critics will then be silenced, or at least muttered a little bit more. The anxiety will come down, and it will be a place to work where people feel confident about our brand. And then when the building's full, I don't know, we might try to build another one and name it after you, Don, just to sort of upset you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. I don't think there is a single soul in this room that doesn't want the best for our economy.
I agree. Oh, okay. It was just a statement.
That's what I said.
I asked her a question, you said a statement. But that's cool.